One of the important aspects of Microsoft Excel is cell reference. This is the way you refer to other cells in your formula. There are different types of cell reference, which are the relative cell reference, the mixed cell reference, and the absolute cell reference. These references are dependent on how your reference behaves when you copy your formulas to other cells. Let's check out some practical examples of cell reference.
Alright, so the first cell reference we'll be looking at today is the relative cell reference, which is the cell reference Microsoft Excel works with by default. So what do I mean? Anytime you type in a formula in a cell and you try copying it down through to other cells, the cell address changes. What do I mean? Now let's look at this. I want to multiply price here by quantity. I'm saying, selecting the first cell in price, shift 8 to multiply it with quantity, and I hit enter. I just calculated the first sales made by Daniel. So for me to get for the rest, with putting about Excel, once you've calculated the first one, you can always fill down for the rest. So I'm filling down for the rest. You can see now we now have the values filled for the rest. So let's check out this formula for the rest. So we click on the second one. You can see it picked from this to this. So anytime you copy down a formula through, the cell address changes. This is for relative cell reference. So what then is for absolute cell reference? For absolute cell reference, it means the cell address does not change. Anytime you type in that formula, it does not change. Anytime you copy the formula down to the other cells, the cell address does not change. So it means either you've locked your cell. Yes, you've locked your cell. Not either, you've locked your cell. So now I want to multiply price and quantity to get my sales made. Then multiply all the values here in the sales made column by 20%. I want to give a 20% discount to not discount now, 20% commission to these people that sold those goods. So I would say equal to multiply through now, this shift 8, then this, and I'll hit enter. I don't think it picked that. Okay, this 100 shift 8, and I'll select this. What's going on? 100 shift 8, then 43. I'll hit enter. So now I'll fill down for the rest. So I want to copy this. I want to use all these values here, multiply them by 20%. I'm coming here and say equal to. I'll select the first cell, then shift 8. Since the only cell I want to work with is this, I have to lock it, else it will just calculate, it will just use the relative cell reference by default and begin to give us wrong values. Now let's see what happens if I don't lock this cell. Enter, then I fill down. We would have weird numbers, weird results. Let's see. Can you see it picked this, and this? Let's look at it here. It picked this and this. Check for the third one. It picked this and this. Let's check for this, the last one. It picked this and this. So that means by default it's already using the relative cell reference by default, which should not be so. So for us to lock just this cell, we want this column, the values here in this column, to multiply just this, the value in this cell alone. We have to lock the cell. To lock a cell, it means that you have your $ in front of the number and in front of the letter, because you know letters are used to represent columns and numbers represent row, right? So how do I do this? I can just, let me delete all this now, delete them, then equal to, select this, then shift 8 for asterisk sign, and I'll select this, and I'll add my $ in front of the letter and in front of the number. This way you've locked the cell, that particular cell. So if you don't want to type it in manually, you just use your F4 button to do that. I'll select this and I'll press my F4 button once. For some system, F4 button don't work alone. You have to use your Fn plus F4. But for my own laptop, F4 is alone to lock the cell. So I'll just hit enter button, then I'll try to fill down. fill down now. So when I double click to check the formula, I see this still multiplies that 20% cell. Even the last one still multiplies the 20% cell. So that's how you lock your cell. So the third type of cell reference is the mixed cell reference. For the mixed cell reference, either the row or the column is fixed, is locked. For absolute, only a cell is locked. For mix, a cell is formed by intersection of rows and columns. So that means for absolute, both the column is locked, the row is locked. But for mixed reference, either of them is locked. It's either the row is locked and the column is fixed, is relative, or the row is relative and the column is fixed. So let's see. Would multiply this, doing the same multiplication here to get our sales mate. This Shift 8, then select this, and we hit enter, then I would fill down. So now I want to multiply all this here by, I want to get value for when I multiply with 10%. I want to get value for when I multiply with 20%. I want to get value for when I multiply with 30%. So I'm going to say come here, then equal to, then I'll select this Shift 8, multiply by 10%. So if you are saying, okay, we want to lock just 10%, if we lock it, F4 to lock 10%, and I hit enter, then I try to fill down for the rest, would have errors. I'm going to check out the formulas now. If I check out the value for 20% here, you see that I still pick this. Now it has even moved from this column here to this place. If I come here, it has moved from this column here to this column. Now it's now multiplying on everything by just 10%. So we have a problem which you have to fix by locking both columns and rows here. So let me delete this now. Let's see how to do that. First, let's try to lock the row and see what happens. So I'll say equal to, select this Shift 8 for times, and I'm going to highlight, just only select the first cell here. Then I will lock this row. So to lock the row, I have to make sure that the dollar sign is in front of the number, because number represents rows, right? So you can either type in the dollar sign, or you use your F4 button, pressing your F4 button twice. So let me delete that now, and I would press my F4 button twice. 1, 2. Can you see now that we have the dollar sign in front of 34? So good. Enter. Then I would highlight, copy to the other side, then drag down. So let's check out the formula. We'll check out this. It picked this and this. Very, very correct. Let's check out the second one. It picked this one and 20%. We have problem. This and 30%. There's a problem. So for the row, it's correct, but we need to lock this column so that it will not be moving to other columns. So how do we do that? I'm going to delete all this again. Now I'll say equal to, I'm selecting this. So since I want to lock this sales made column, you would have to put dollar sign in front of the letters. You can type it in manually, or I use my F4 button to put it in. So to lock your column, press your F4 button 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Or Fn plus F4, depending on which one works for your system. So can you see now we have the dollar sign in front of F, which represents column. Then Shift 8 to multiply, and I'll select this. This is on a row. I want to lock this row. F4 button twice. 1, 2 to lock the row. Now I hit my enter button. So I copy the formula through. So now let's check if the cell address are correct. This and this, very, very correct. Let me come to the last detail here. This and this, very correct. So let's check out for 20%. You see this and this. The last one in 20%, it picked this and this, very, very correct. Let's check for 30%. This and this, good. Then this and this, perfect. So for us to achieve this, to get this value, we had to lock this row, then lock this column. Can you see? Mix reference. Either the row is locked or the column is locked. Mixed. A mixture of both absolute and relative cell reference. So that is that on cell reference. I hope you've been able to get one or two from this video. Thank you for watching. Do well to like and hit the subscribe button. Share to those that need this also. Bye.